Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, Bill Cannon. I'm a retired 27-year NYPD Detective Sergeant from Manhattan North Homicide Squad. And with me today, my co-host, the always affable Phil Grimaldi, a 21-year retired NYPD second-grade detective from Intelligence Unit and also from the 6-0 Squad. How you doing today, Phil?
Pretty good, Bill. Thanks for having me on again.
I hate to pull you out because I know you're usually stirring that gravy on a Sunday afternoon, you know?
Yes. Not me. Well, believe it or not, my wife does all the cooking, and
you just do you're the commander at the table. You get this, you get that, right?
now you're talking. You got it, Bill. You got it. What were you sneaking on my house or something? The only thing I do cook is I'll cook steak. Well, that's what I'll do once in a while.
Oh, so you man the grill, but when it's inside, the wife's got to do.
That's it.
Inside,
that's
right?
it. I can't. Well, actually, this morning I did make her some eggs, but that's the limit of my my cooking. But she does make a wicked sauce and meatballs.
That's fantastic. I just want to today we're really going on the air to promote Police Off the Cuff, not just the new shows we got coming up this week, but as a brand. We now have a website called policeoffthecuff.com. We got a lot of stuff on there, and besides myself and Mark started this. Mark DeMeo, we started this a little over 2 years ago, and we do the show Police Off the Cuff, but I've branched out to do this show Real Crime Stories with you, and I'm really happy with it, and I think we haven't even scratched the surface of it, and we have some really amazing cases coming up, and some amazing guests, and I'm just going to comment on some of the things we got coming up, and you feel free to jump in, but tomorrow night, there's the flyer. We have retired NYPD Inspector James Coan, who was a hell of a cop. I think he had 2 medals of valor. He was a street crime guy. He came up through the ranks, and he retired as a full inspector as the commanding officer of the aviation unit. I don't know if you know Inspector Coan, but right now he lives in Florida and he works as a pilot.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know Coan, but I did know some guys that worked in aviation. Obviously, a very interesting, unit in the police department. They're very, very important. I mean, over the years of my career, we've utilized aviation many, many times. I actually had the privilege of riding along with them. It was going to be when I was over in the 6-0 Squad, there was going to be a rap concert. They were worried about shootings and all the to-do that follows around in these rap concerts. So I go over to Floyd Bennett Field. I go up in the bird with them, and right after we were up in the air, about 5 minutes, I got radioed that they had canceled the concert. So I told the guys, I said, "Listen, they says, don't worry, we'll take you for the run that we do." And they go, "You've been up before," so I knew that was going to be like, if I was like acting like I was scared, they were gonna, they're gonna try and
they were gonna take you on they were gonna take you on a ghost ride.
Exactly. They were gonna take me on a ride. I was probably gonna have to change my underwears, So I said, yeah, I've been up before. I had never been up. So they flew towards the Statue of Liberty, and we actually went around the Statue of Liberty kind of sideways, and they were looking back at me and stuff. And I held it together. Everything was cool. And then we flew up towards the George Washington Bridge. It was really unbelievable because we got past the bridge, north of the bridge, they turned, and we were like level with the top of the towers. And just looking at it, was like you could almost reach out and touch it. And then one of the pilots, his family was having a party in the backyard over in the Bronx. We flew over, we shined the light on them. And then you'll never believe, this is a true story, Bill. About 5 minutes before we're about to go back towards Floyd Bennett Field, I got the headset on, and the pilot tells the co-pilot, "Did you feel that?" So he goes, "Yeah, I did." And I thought they were breaking my balls, like they're trying to. He goes, "There it is again. Did you feel that vibration?" And the guy goes, "Yes, I did. I felt it. And I see them start scrambling. So I keyed in because with the headsets, you can talk to them. I says, "Come on, guys, stop breaking my balls." And the co-pilot turns to me with a dead stare and goes, "He's not kidding." And when I heard that, I was like, "What's going on? What are we doing?" And I hear them radioing for an emergency landing at JFK. And within 45 seconds, we're on the ground in JFK. And I'm like holding on for dear life, and we land, and here comes the Port Authority police, and they did like an inspection of the helicopter, and we were on the ground for about 20, 30 minutes. And, you know, I'm radioing, send somebody to JFK to come and get me, you know? And then they go, yeah, we checked it out. We're going to go back to Floyd Bennett Field. Come on. I'm like, they're sending somebody for me. I don't want to go back in the bird, but then I got in. We went back to JFK, and they put the helicopter out of service. I actually did feel the vibration. I don't know. I never followed up on what it was, but thank God we made it back safe. So
you know, we had interviewed a pilot from aviation on our show one time. And he talked that he'd won the Medal of Valor for a rescue of 3 cadets on a mountain up by West Point.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was a crazy rescue. And it not only involved aviation, it involved ESU, because ESU, I think, rappelled out of the helicopter to actually make the save, you know. So it was an incredible story. But when he retired, and I won't name the names of the helicopter companies, but he worked for a couple of helicopter companies. And he quit because he didn't like their maintenance schedule. So how the hell is that for someone in the public? He said they did not put the helicopters out of service as often as he would have liked, coming from the NYPD, when he sees, you know, X amount of hours they laid down that helicopter, X amount of hours of service, you know.
Yeah, you know, there was 2. I can remember, I think, 2 incidents with NYPD helicopters went down. One in like 1983 when I first got to the 7-0. It crashed over. I think it hit a small plane and crashed over in Red Hook, and both the pilot and co-pilot were killed. And then I think there was another one not long ago. But 2 guys that I worked with from the 7-0, both cops, went on to become helicopter pilots. Sammy Finnemore is a very close friend of mine. I'm still friendly with him till this day. And Vinny Bavetta, who I'm also friends with. Both, I think Vinny's still flying. Sammy gave it up. But Vinny
let me stop you for a second.
Sure.
How come every one of your friends is Italian? Don't you have any other friends that
I got to tell you, I've had a few partners on the job, but there's like 2 or 3 partners that I've had on the job that I call my partner. One was Artie Williams, obviously not Italian. Another one was Eddie Driscoll, obviously not Italian. And then my partner, Craig Bodie, who was half Italian, and he was actually killed a few years back.
Hey,
but
I'm sorry to hear that. But you're ruining my joke and my dissertation, you know.
But I got along very well with Irish guys, with everybody. But I was very close with my 2 closest partners. Well, I guess 3, but there was some Italian guys too, I guess. I don't want to get myself in deep.
You know, one of the things I want to ask Inspector Coan tomorrow night, retired Inspector Coan, is how do you get into aviation? I had heard that they don't want you to have previous flying experience. And then I heard that they do want you to have a certain level because they want to train you the way they want to do it.
Yes.
And they don't want, but at the same time, I can't see them like taking in someone who's a brand new jack that's never flown before, you know?
I think that what they do is, I know if you have helicopter experience in the military, I think that's pretty much a good resume to get into aviation. I know a few guys that went that way. And then I know other guys, Vic Acevedo was flying or trying to get into aviation. He was flying, but he never made it in, and he had his pilot's license. So I guess there's something to it. Maybe they want to mold the pilots the way that they want to train them, you know?
I think it helps if you're a chief's son too, you know?
That's always positive. Yeah, that's
the major hook, right?
Yeah.
All right, now, Phil, I want to segue. We're going to get off Inspector Coan. That's tomorrow night at 7:00.
Should be a great show, Bill.
It's going to be excellent. Till Tuesday night, where this is a case that came to my attention. It's actually happened 10 years ago. But I spoke to you about, I'm going to put the flyer on the screen right there. And it's a case of a girl from Westchester. She's actually from Scarsdale. And 10 years ago, she turned up missing at Indiana University after a night of heavy drinking. And it's really a heartbreaking case. We both have kids. I know you have 3 daughters. You can never recover from something like that. So 10 years ago on June 3rd, 2011 is when it occurred. So this is the 10-year anniversary of it. And we're going to cover that case on Tuesday night. Myself, you, and the defense attorney, Joe Murray, who's been on this show numerous times. There he is, handsome guy. He's becoming like a cult podcasting figure, you know. The women love him, and I know Angie's watching. So Angie, I know he's a handsome guy, but he's also a smart guy.
That's before beard too. That's a good picture of Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going on to this case that we're going to talk about Tuesday night. I mean, my heart goes out to the family. I mean, they got to be, I can't even imagine what they're going through. I have 2 college-age daughters and one that's a senior in high school, or going to be a senior in high school, and I really can relate to it. I mean, it's horrible. They really never got any type of closure. I can't even imagine the nightmare that they're going through, but it's 10 years, and hopefully you being a homicide investigator from Manhattan North Homicide Squad, Joe having NYPD experience as a police officer and detective, and myself, I worked on many homicides. I think that with our over 60 years of experience between myself, you, and Joe, I think that we'll offer some good expert analysis and give our professional opinions on it. I'm actually reviewing the timeline that was on, I believe it was on Wikipedia. And I also want to look at the investigative steps that were taken and discuss that. I mean, I know anytime we review one of these cases, I always like to go through what I would do or what I would be expected to do, and, put our heads together and maybe, discuss the things that were done and maybe some of the things that weren't done, maybe things that could have been done,
Well, it's with all major investigations, when you come to a fork in the road where you sort of don't know what to do next, it's always good to put everyone's head together and to discuss it. And that's how homicides and major cases, that's how you come up with answers. But by picking everyone's brain, we used to say, all right, let's all sit around and hypothesize and theorize, and there's a lot of truth to that. You sit around and you talk. What have you done? What do you think? Who have you spoken to? And the bottom line is, you have to start over and over and over. You may have to start from the beginning hundreds of times. Go back, do this over again. Yes. Check this out. What did we miss? Did we miss anything? But absolutely. All these cases, you can see right here, there's $145,000 reward. So if this was easy, someone has the answer out there, right? Someone knows what happened. The chances of her being alive after 10 years are very slim. It's not impossible, but very, very slim chances. And we can just reiterate how horrible it has to be for her family, for her parents. There's no closure to this case. I think they've been interviewed, and they don't expect that she's alive, but they still would like, and they need closure. They need an answer,
Absolutely. I can relate to what you're saying 100%. I think that had there been some type of, let's say, a body was discovered and they were able to bury their daughter, that part of it, they would have gotten some closure. In my opinion, they're probably stuck. They're probably stuck, which I would call a neutral. They can't move forward. I'm hoping that someday that they're going to be able to get some closure. And, what you were talking about just a couple of seconds ago, sometimes when you put fresh eyes on a case, like I think I spoke with you about a case that I had over in Cary Gardens in Brooklyn, the Goldfarb case, where 6 months after the case was over, I mean, we had did everything that we thought necessary at the time, but a recanvass and talking to a witness that was already spoken to, but she had seen something and didn't tell us the first time. And Buddy Manane from Major Case, who was in the housing police at the time, he went and knocked on the door. She just about pulled him into the apartment and said, I got to tell you what really happened. So sometimes something like that, even though you did it, you were there, you did that canvas, you knocked on that door, you interviewed that person, it's still sometimes, in my particular case, we had put it on Crime Stoppers. She saw it on the news, and her conscience had gotten the best of her, so she never made the phone call. But when Buddy knocked on the door, she was able to supply the information that led to the arrest in the case. So, like you said, sometimes putting your heads together, what did we miss? Let's try this. Let's recanvass that. Let's talk to that person again. And sometimes you shake the tree, or even a fresh set of eyes, and somebody has a different theory, says, you know what? You guys tried that, and that. Let's try this. And sometimes it could lead to.
Well, you know, Phil, even something as simple as standing out on the corner on the anniversary of her missing with flyers saying, "Help us, help you," explaining what happened. If you have any information, it'll be kept strictly confidential. Call this number or come in to see so-and-so. The other thing is that I always liked this was shaking the tree. Shaking the tree in New York City, for us, it meant having narcotics do buy and bust.
Yep.
Having anti-crime out there, which they don't have anymore, have patrol, have everyone shake that tree and debrief every single prisoner in relation to this specific case.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. I don't know. Do you know for sure if that was done with the anniversary where they gave out flyers? Because that
I don't
right.
know. This is in Indiana. So
right.
The Indiana police also, there's a private investigator that's on this case. He happens to work for Bo Dietl. I think he's the vice president of Bo Dietl Investigations. I think he was a lieutenant on our job. His last name is Ciravulo or something like that. Anyway, He's still on the case.
Okay.
Now I know. Look, I can imagine the fortune that the parents have spent on private investigators. You know, trying to get answers. But Lieutenant Peter Pranzo says the cold case squad. Yeah, you should have a squad that's totally just dedicated to this case, just 100% of the time working on just this case. I don't know whether in Indiana whether they can do that, whether they have the resources to do that, but this is a national case that still gets national attention when it's covered, because it's it's college girls that are 20 years old are not supposed to disappear.
Right. I'm sure that when she first went missing, they plastered the area with missing persons posters. But I like the idea about what you said on the anniversary. They should do it every year, right around just before the anniversary and through the anniversary, because there might be that one person that walks down that street or drives down that street at that particular time on that particular day for whatever reason. And that might lead to, something that they can jump on. And if you remember, Bill, in the episode of The Perfect Murder that we did, we actually did a scene where it was the year anniversary when the young lady was killed on the Grand Central Parkway, and we went and handed out flyers on the highway.
100%, and it's like a mundane thing. Detectives don't like doing it, and that's too bad. Whether they like doing it or not, it's effective. It can really be effective, and you're shaking that tree. I'm just going to go to a quick little commercial for our sponsors here. Folks, anyone looking to leave the New York City area because of high taxes, crime, whatever, you don't like who the mayoral candidates are, you want to move down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina? Carol Waters is a realtor, and she used to work in New York City for over 20 years as a bartender at the Fitzpatrick Hotel. Her husband, Rob Mayen, is a former NYPD police officer who rolled over to the fire department. Together, they're the dynamic duo down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, selling real estate. Carol sells for the Beach Realty Group, and you can get a hold of her at 914-261-6681, or you can email her at carolwaterssellsmyrtlebeach@gmail.com. They must be doing a hell of a job because they're both multi-million dollar salespeople. So give her a call at 914-261-6681. Folks, if you get in any trouble, and we mention him all the time, he's our buddy. He's a huge promoter of Police Off the Cuff. Joe Murray, a former police officer who's now an attorney. He'll represent you. You can give him a call. He has a website, joe@jmurray-law.com. You can reach him by cell at 718-514-3855. That's Joe Murray, a huge promoter of Police Off the Cuff, and we thank him for that.
Hey, Bill, does he do like wills and stuff like that too, or does he just do criminal law?
I think that might be a little small for Joe Murray. I know he's in the chat right now. He might tell me that, but he's I know we always promote him for if you get in trouble criminal, but I'm sure he must do other stuff too, or does he do just strictly criminal law? Joe, do you do just criminal law? You're doing wills? You're doing house closings? He says no wills for me. See, lawyers hate doing that. They farm out. They farm that out to the New Jacks, right?
Yeah, I get it.
So he's he's like an F. Lee Bailey. He's an up and coming F. Lee Bailey type.
Yeah. Joe's good. We've discussed that before. He's good.
He's good. Yeah.
He's shown that.
Tomorrow night, excuse me, not tomorrow night, Thursday night, I never knew Donald Sadowy, but Donald Sadowy has a book written about him. Apparently, he's a huge he's a first grade detective that was in the bomb squad, and he's defused many bombs in his career. He worked on the World Trade Center. He has a book. That book was written about him, Rendered Safe. Here he is in his bomb squad outfit. I can't even imagine wearing that. How hot that must be. But he's going to be on the show Thursday night, and that should be another spectacular episode.
Bill, keep that picture up for a second. I just want to say something. You said it's hot. If you look at that tube in the back, that's actually, they have a ventilation. They have a little fan so that their screen in the front doesn't fog up. That's actually a very, very intricate system that they wear. That thing weighs a ton too. So yeah, those guys are cut from a very, very special mold. I mean, that takes a lot of guts and a lot of balls to do that stuff.
I can't imagine going up to and like trying to defuse a bomb, that could go off and blow you to bits. It's a special type of courage,
Yeah, I've seen them in action a few times from being in the squad, getting called out on bomb jobs, and obviously we're kind of back. And these guys, they just suit up and they very matter-of-factly will walk up and they'll just get right next to that package that's suspicious, and they'll X-ray it and they'll take it apart, and they're methodical, obviously. I mean, they don't want to blow themselves up, but they work with such grace, and you got to tip your hat to guys like that in the police department and the military that play around with bombs. God bless them.
I tell you, on the police department, the people that I respected everyone, but the most was emergency service,
Absolutely.
guys in the bomb squad, and as far as investigators, I had a special affinity for special victims because I just thought that their job was so difficult. The type of cases that they were investigating and the toll it could take on them, much like homicide, but special victims, a lot of times they're dealing with the investigation of crimes against children, which is horrible.
Absolutely. And I think you make a great point, Bill, because we're dealing with homicides and stuff. And most of the time it's not children, and we would get that occasional job like that. And that really tugs at your heartstrings, but they would deal with stuff like that on a regular basis with rapes and all these other different sexual abuse cases involving women and children. So yeah, you're right. You got to have a real tip tat to those investigators in those specialized units.
And then also, of course, we just were speaking about aviation. Of course, that's like a specialty that, I mean, we probably, as cops, we probably look at them as like, how did they get into aviation? I want to do that, but it's an amazing job. And the fact that, I mean, they probably love coming to work every day. I'm getting to fly a helicopter today. How cool is that?
Yeah. I was having a chat with a guy I worked with in the 7-0. Now, when I first went in the 7-0, it was in the early 80s, and we would do a 4 to 12. And he said something, and I agreed with him. He said, back then, it was so much fun to come to work. When I would do a 4 to 12, he goes, I didn't want to go home. And if they would have told me I couldn't get paid, he goes, I would have did it for free. And it was really that way, just the camaraderie, the guys we worked with. And if we went to a job and it was a barricaded, perp and shots fired and stuff like that, we would call out aviation, we would call out emergency service, and those guys be right there with us. And it was just such an adrenaline pump and just being part of it. There was nothing like it, and
Phil, you're describing the way I was when I worked anti-crime. I loved coming to work, whether
Absolutely.
It was precinct anti-crime or street crime. I was like, they're paying me to do this job. I loved doing it,
Yeah. And, you got a lot of satisfaction out of it because, whether it was a radio run or a pickup, there would be something going on and then you would follow it to its conclusion. And conclusion a lot of time would be a collar or something like that. And, it was very, very satisfying. And I've always said, as being a detective, that's what I always aspired to do. For a detective, there's nothing better than standing over a dead body and you have no clue who killed this person when it's sometime after, whether it be a day, a week, a month, or a year, and you have the person in custody, whether they're confessing or you're arresting them for that murder. That's the ultimate for a detective.
Something, Phil, I felt the same way when we had like a really good case.
Yes.
What's sleep? What do you mean sleep? What is sleep? What do you mean sleep? Right?
Yeah.
I remember one time we worked. It seemed like we were up for like 40 hours straight. I mean, I know we weren't, but we never went home.
Yes.
And maybe we caught an hour here, an hour there. You ate a slice of pizza, but that adrenaline keeps you going. Lieutenant Peter Pranzo, Street Crime Unit owns the night. Something? We wish Street Crime Unit was back. We wish Precinct Anti-Crime was back. And we're hoping that can happen one day, because without them, you can see the way the city is. I just want to, Phil, go to something else right now.
Sure.
And one of the things that we've been trying to do with our channel is increase our amount of women that watch our channel, because believe it or not, I look at the analytics, and 78% of the people that watch our show are male, and 22% are female. So because more females watch podcasts, we're trying to up it. So I got a press release about this book, and it's called Behind the Blue Curtains. And as soon as I got the press release, I immediately wrote to the publicist and I said, I'd like to interview Lizzie Hershberger. And he said, all right. He goes, they'd be interested. And Molly Maeve Egan she's her ghostwriter. She's sort of like her coach in a lot of ways. And what the book is about is she was Amish, and she grew up in an Amish community. And basically, she was raped numerous times, over 24 times. And that's what the book is about. And it's about the sexual abuse inside the Amish community. And I couldn't put the book down. They sent me the book, and I read the book. So I'm going to be interviewing Lizzie Hershberger and Molly Maeve Egan on Tuesday, June 22nd at 8 p.m. It's an unbelievable story. It's a story about survival. It's a story about a woman who was brave enough to, after 30 years, made a police report and had the person that sexually assaulted her arrested. But these insular communities have these huge problems with sexual abuse.
Yeah, that should be an interesting show, Bill. I mean, that woman, obviously, she exemplified tremendous courage to come forward. And like you said, in these communities where everything is very, very secretive, to come forward, that took a lot of guts. I give her a lot of credit. That should be a fantastic show. I'm dying to hear what she's got to say about what went on. I mean, it's terrible, but, maybe talk about it, and maybe it can prevent somebody else having that happen to them.
Phil, 100%. And something, I think that the problem with these, what I would call, they're like religious cults. They really are, and it's still going on, because you can't really infiltrate these cults. They try to be insular, and they try not to live in regards to the rules and the laws of 21st century America. But it's a problem in a lot of these religions,
Absolutely. I'm sure it's not rampant, but even one case is one too many,
I don't know. I think based on what I read in her book, I think it is rampant. And it's not
Really?
just the Hasidic community. It's a lot of other religions, and I'm not going to point fingers at other religions without knowing the specifics or having someone come out, but it is a huge problem. We're getting close to the half hour. We're at the half hour. So I want to talk about a couple more cases. Look who's coming back.
Oh, I can't wait to see this one.
Yeah, him and his buddy Bob Starkman. They want to come on the show together. So that's Joe Pistone, a.k.a. Donny Brasco, the most famous undercover in the history of the FBI. He wants to come back on the show. He's got he's a legend. But he's got a hell of a sense of humor. If you watched the show the last time, we were wall-to-wall ball busting, and he took it like the hero he is, And
you could see he's got a great personality, Joe.
Oh, 100%. I want to know where he gets those sunglasses from too. I think that there must be some kind of FBI equipment section or something he gets them from. But
the Ray-Ban section in the FBI.
That's right. They must have their own equipment section. And the other thing, who's coming back, and I don't know if I put the flyer here, but I don't know if I got it here, but Larry Mazza, and Larry Mazza. Why don't you tell the audience who he is, Phil?
Larry is he was actually a made member of the Colombo crime family, and he was involved in some pretty nasty stuff. He wrote a book about it called A Life, and he actually is about the same age as me. He grew up in my neighborhood. I have mutual friends, and he knew my cousins and stuff. And he's a pretty interesting character. You had him on before. He did a little with Tommy Dades, and he did some talking about his book and stuff. But him and I actually rubbed elbows together. I didn't know him growing up. I never really met him, but we worked in the same area. He worked for a supermarket. I worked for Sala Maria, and he was actually seduced when he was delivering groceries by the Grim Reaper's girlfriend, Scarpa.
Greg Scarpa, yeah.
Greg Scarpa was an infamous killer in the mob, and he wound up going to work for him. It's a great story, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of things to talk about with Larry when he comes back.
Well, when I asked Larry to come back on, I'm definitely having you do the show with me, because
that'll be fantastic. Yeah,
just in case you got to slip in some Italian, some Italian phrases.
Yeah, well, maybe I could I could decipher some of his Italian,
like Shadrul and stuff like that.
Yeah. We would throw in some things around about the mob with Tommy too. So maybe we'll do something.
Hey, I'm hearing things. I'm hearing some things.
You hearing subversive things about that guy? Is he talking subversive?
That's right, he is. And look at Lieutenant Pete, man. Lieutenant Pete wants to speak some Italian. He's saying, "Hey," we love it. So so I, on a Sunday afternoon, I scheduled this at the last moment, and Phil was in the yard like all good Italian dads, doing some weeding. He's harvesting the eggplant. Whatever he's doing out there in Brooklyn.
Now, I got to tell you the truth. I don't have a green thumb when it comes to that. I was weeding, but I'm getting ready for a party in my backyard. So
oh my God! Work, but. He's ordering his daughters around like he's the head of the family. When really the wife is the head of the family.
Oh,
he may be sitting at the head of the table, but she's ruling with an iron fist. You know that, right?
Well, there's an old saying: "Happy wife, happy life." So I try my best.
That's 100% correct. Happy wife, happy life. That's for sure. I make no decisions in my family, especially anything with furniture, painting, anything. My wife what do you think of this? I go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think of it, because
do what you want.
You're going to do what you want anyway. So why are you asking me?
That's how you stay happy, Bill. That's how you stay happy.
Exactly. Look at
I'm learning. I wasn't always like that, but I'm learning.
And all the women in our audience are laughing because they know I'm telling the truth, right? And Peter Franzo said there's some buried coffee cans. Oh, yeah, Richella runs that house too. Pete acts like he's running the home, but Richella rules with an iron fist there, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. And especially that I have 3 daughters, so my wife really she relates with them, and she's like the very, very connected with what's going on. And then I got my role too, so it works out. It's all good.
Folks, I just want you to take a quick look at this. Our engineer, Josh, who I can't say enough great things about, and he actually works for Duty Ron, and that's where I met him. He's making these unbelievable, I call them flyers, but they're not really flyers. They're like, what do you call this? I don't even know, but he's doing
a banner.
A banner for us, yeah.
It looks good. I like it, Bill.
And he's made several different types of them, and it's just, he's built our website. Pretty soon we're coming up with merchandise on our website. Besides having coffee cups, we're going to have hats. We're going to have shirts.
Oh, that sounds good.
All dipped in butter, coffee cups. Those were very popular. So he's doing an unbelievable job, and I really take my hat off. I'm so happy that we found him.
Those cups were so popular that somebody swiped mine at the party that we had.
Are you kidding me?
I swear, the black one, and I had to take a white one.
Oh, we gotta come up with some more. Josh is working on it for us, and Phil, we're at the time. You got any final thoughts?
Looking forward to Tuesday night. That's a really interesting case, and I just again, heart goes out to those people, the family, the parents of Lauren Spierer. And I see you got some great guests coming up, Bill. It's very interesting. I'm just glad to be a part of it, and I'm sure it's going to explode and do well.
And, folks, all you guys, I recognize all the names that are in the chat now, and I know you're already subscribers, but for your friends, family, extended family, tell them to subscribe to Police Off the Cuff on YouTube. We're coming up, we're building slowly but surely. We're not at duty run numbers, but we're building slowly but surely, and I'm working hard at this, believe it or not. And I tell you, one of the best things, and I get a little redundant saying this, is one of the greatest things I like about doing this show is the unbelievable people I get to meet, and interviewing them and laughing with them and having a conversation with them. Even Phil Grimaldi, I first met him when we were on a TV show together, The Perfect Murder.
That's right.
Just like I said that day when he's coming on the show, and I don't even have to coach him that much because he's such a pro. I just said, let's just have a conversation. And that's all we just did for 35 minutes. We just had a conversation, right?
Yep. Yeah, it went quick. It went quick, and hats off to you, Bill, because you do work hard on the show. You're constantly on this stuff. You put out shows. I think 1 week you put out about 6 or 7 shows. So you're going to get there. God bless you, and you're doing a great job. And I'm just so happy to be a part of it.
I appreciate that. And actually, I just thought of it. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm on live with Ed Mullins, from the SBA president, To the Point with Ed Mullins. And I apologize. I don't know the name of the woman. It's the woman that took on the school board in regards to what that's called. What's that training they're doing?
That was up near Yonkers, I believe.
Up in Carmel.
Carmel, that's it.
In regards to that racial training they're doing in the school.
Yeah. Critical race theory.
Critical race theory. So
she was fantastic, Bill. Fantastic.
She went after that school board like a real. It was amazing.
She took control, and I loved it. She really gave it to them.
Yeah, and like they deserved. Critical race theory. That's correct. So 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm on with Ed Mullins on To the Point with Ed Mullins. Tomorrow night with James Coan, the former CEO of Aviation. Thursday. I can't even think of all the names now, but we have some amazing shows coming. I don't want to stay on any longer. Phil, thank you so much. You're always available. I give you a call. You take your gloves off out of the garden. You wash off your hands and you're ready to go.
That's just about what happened today. I swear, Bill, but my pleasure. Thanks
Thank you
again.
so much. And all you Police Off the Cuff fans, have a great rest of your Sunday. If you're mixing up some gravy, I'm going to have Phil come on 1 week and give you some sauce recipes.
There you go. Stay safe, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone.